With Google Search Console, you have access to some of the most powerful tools for improving your SEO. While it's completely free, there are many ways to set it up. So in this video, I'll walk you through the best fit for you so you'll be up and running in no time. Hey, I'm Joe from Tribe SEO, where we help you get found on search engines and for the keywords that matter. Now, before we dive in, let's quickly review why Search Console is so powerful and how it can help your site get more organic traffic. Simply put, Google Search Console helps you monitor, measure, and maximize the results you can expect from search engines. For example, it helps you understand how Google sees your content, measure your site's organic traffic, identify which keywords your site ranks for, diagnose and fix technical SEO issues, measure how fast your pages load, and get your pages onto Google faster. Now, these are just a few benefits, but before setting up a Search Console account for your site, first ask yourself, does somebody already have access to Google Search Console for your domain? This might be a colleague in marketing, your web developer, or even the business owner. If the answer is no, you'll need to verify the website with Google, which I'll cover in a moment. If it's yes, the quickest way is to ask that person to add you as a user. To do this, simply log into Search Console and click Settings from the sidebar. From there, you'll need to see a green tick next to Ownership Verification to be able to add a user. If you don't see that, it will say you are not a verified owner, so you'll need to find an owner to be added as a user. So I'll head over to the Property Switcher and I'll look for the tribeseo.com domain property, which I am an owner, and I'll click that. This time, when I review the ownership verification, I do see the green tick. Below that, click on Users and Permissions. From there, I'll look for the Add User button towards the top right, and I'll click it. Next, start typing in the email address that you want to add and press Enter. Now, you can decide to grant either owner, full, or restricted permission access, and then click Add. Okay, so if you'd like to be added as a user, email the owner and let them know which domain that you'd like access to Search Console. If they don't know how to add a user, I've created a separate video which you can find above me covering just that part. Now, if Search Console hasn't been set up yet for your website, or perhaps your web developer set it up but he isn't answering your calls, we've all been there, then you need to verify it yourself as the site owner to Google. So here are the verification steps. Step 1, visit the Welcome to Google Search Console page. To do this, I'll Google Welcome to Google Search Console, review the results, and I'll pick the top result. If you're signed in, you'll be taken to the welcome page. Otherwise, you'll be prompted to sign in, or you can create a new account if needed. Okay, so step 2, verify by domain or URL prefix. Now, when you access Search Console, Google will report personal information about the website, so Google needs to verify that it's the owner of the domain or someone acting as the owner. You can see that you can choose from 2 property types, domain and URL prefix. Now, the domain option is the most robust and future-proof because it covers all website subdomains and protocols like HTTP and HTTPS, whereas the URL prefix option is limited to the URL and protocol you submit. More on the URL prefix later. Okay, so let's look at verifying by domain first. So I'll enter a domain that I own called snow.com and press return. From here, Google prompts me to 1. Sign into my domain name provider, for example, GoDaddy or Namecheap. 2. Copy the text record below into the DNS configuration. 3. Then click the Verify button. So I'll copy the text record and head over to my domain name provider, which is Google Domains. Next, you can see I'm on the page for snow.com and I'll click the DNS tab from the side menu. From there, I'm prompted to create a new record. If you see any existing records, you probably don't want to delete or overwrite them. For the new record, you can leave the hostname blank. Then change the type to text and leave the TTL as 3600. In the data box, paste in the long text field you copied earlier and then click Save. After that, you can hop back to Search Console. Next, click Verify. If Google can see the DNS changes you've made through your domain name provider straight away, you're all good and you'll get instant access to Search Console. Otherwise, it can take a day or so to fully propagate, so you may need to repeat the last step tomorrow or the day after. Okay, that's us covered for the domain verification process. Let's now move on to verifying by URL prefix. Now, let's imagine, like me, you're a big fan of pancakes, and I'm going to throw it out there that it's not that hard for you to imagine. So you create a website called Pancakes Lover, and you submit the prefix http://pancakeslover.com. Now, in the future, if you move from HTTP to HTTPS, this wouldn't be covered by your original URL prefix. It's the same if you suddenly decided to start using www as part of a subdomain. As a consequence, Google would only report data that started with the URL that you submitted. So in this case, it would exclude URLs with HTTPS or www as the prefix. Sure, you could submit a new URL prefix to Google Search Console, but it can get messy consolidating all the data, and that's another reason why the domain property wins in most cases. So to avoid such mishaps and future-proofing yourself, it's always better to verify by domain first, but where that's not possible, use the correct URL prefix as a fallback. So I'll pop in the URL prefix that I want to verify and press return. Now, there are several verification methods, and the first is through a HTML file. For this, you need to click the download link and save the HTML file to your computer. Then you need to upload the file to the top level or the root of your website. So this could be using a file manager with your web host, connecting through FTP, or sending the file to your web developer and asking them to do it. Then return to Search Console and click Verify to complete the process and get instant access. Alternatively, you can add a HTML tag to your website. Simply copy the meta tag that Google provides and add the code to your site. Again, you could ask your web developer to do this, but if your site has an SEO plugin, you may be able to add the tag yourself. For example, for a WordPress website using the Rank Math SEO plugin, under General Settings, you'll see a Webmaster Tools tab, and there's an option to add the Search Console verification code. Again, you'll need to click the Verify button when you return to Search Console to get instant access. Now, to finish things off, we'll quickly look at the remaining options. If you already have Google Analytics access for the site, this will probably be the quickest and easiest method, as it involves just a couple of clicks. For more advanced users, there's an option to verify through Google Tag Manager, and you can also verify through your domain name provider. Okay, that's the verification process completed. But what's the best fit for you? Well, remember at the start of this video, I suggested to lead with a question. Does somebody already have Search Console access for your domain? If yes, ask them to add you as a user, and there's a video above me that helps you do just that. If not, you'll need to verify the domain to Google. By now, you'll know that the most future-proof and thorough way of doing this is by changing the DNS settings with your domain name provider. If you don't have access to that, you may find it easier to verify by URL prefix. The URL prefix may be enough for your needs for now, but it may not cover all URLs needed in the future. And to recap, you can verify by URL through a HTML file, a HTML tag, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, and Google Sites, Blogger, or Domains. Okay, now if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're wondering what the next step inside Search Console might be, check out this short video in how to submit a sitemap to Google. Until then, I'm Joe from Tribe SEO, and I'll see you in the next video.